Today we're going to run through 11 tips for tourists who plan on driving their way around Scotland. There are so many great road trip routes to take all around the country, and I think that driving is the best possible way to see the countryside of Scotland. So hopefully this video is all the prep you need to hit the road. Maybe get a map as well. Tip number 1 is that you'll be driving on the left-hand side. Now, being from Australia, it's rare that I travel to a country where I get to drive on the same side of the road to what I'm used to. So I'm including this one early because for most of you watching, it's the wrong side of the road. Yes, you'll have to drive on the left-hand side, which will give you a taste of what it's like for me when I visit your country. It's generally intuitive and easy to pick up, but what I struggle with the most is the turning signal being on the opposite side of the steering wheel. Every time you put the windscreen wipers on by accident when turning a corner, I hope you think of me. Good luck out there. Tip number 2 is you have to pay for parking everywhere. This point extends beyond the city and to almost the entire country. I've never in my life spent so much money on parking within such a short period of time. Every tourist spot, visitors centre, and in some cases patches of grass, the country is just covered in parking meters. The cost might only be £1 or £2 every time you stop, but it really does add up, so be prepared to factor this into your budget when you're planning your Scotland road trip. Number 3. Most of the roads are very narrow. While there are some multi-lane freeways that run through the country, you're going to spend most of your time on roads and highways with a single lane in each direction. Some of these roads are beautiful with trees overhanging them and old stone walls on either side. The scene can be very picturesque, but forever very narrow. And this leads me to the 4th tip, which is that there are very few places to stop on the side of the road. When driving through a scenic area, you'll need to keep an eye out for designated car parks and viewing areas if you wish to stop your car. The shoulder of most roads are narrow and you cannot stop a car safely without impeding traffic. I lost count of the number of times I saw something that made me want to stop and get out of the car, and after a few minutes of looking for somewhere to pull over, I just gave up and continued on. Many of the country's roads are simply not there to accommodate tourism, so it's best to accept this up front and not be tempted to do anything that could put yourself or other motorists in danger. Tip number 5 is that it's still relatively easy to overtake other vehicles. Despite the narrow roads, the highways have regular overtaking lanes, so that you usually don't have to wait very long to get past a slow-moving truck or motorhome. This is an important safety feature that removes the need to do anything dangerous like pass on the wrong side of the road. Tip number 6 is there's minimal speed limit signage. As I drove across the country, I rarely knew what speed limit it was. There is signage, of course, but it's infrequent in some areas. Or perhaps I'm just not very observant. So, as a general rule, the speed limit on the highways is 60 miles per hour and regular suburban roads is 30 miles an hour. Tip number 7 is that the summer days are long. If you're going to spend any length of time driving around Scotland in the summer, then you will have more daylight hours than you know what to do with. It's amazing how much you can fit into each day, and time will often get away from you. But those long days can really add up, and your quality of sleep can also suffer from the lack of darkness. So do your best to have a firm cut-off time each day for your activities, so you can still relax, unwind, and get plenty of good quality sleep before hitting the road again the next day. Tip number 8 is that last-minute accommodation is hard to find. The reason I'm including this in a list of driving tips is that it can have a significant effect on the amount of driving you'll do in any particular day. In the busy summer months, your options for accommodation can get booked out well in advance, and some of the small towns just don't have many at all. If you have no fixed itinerary and plan on booking accommodation on the day, just know it will be more expensive and sometimes hard to find anything available. If you are someone who needs certainty, you'll be better off mapping out your full itinerary in advance and securing accommodation early. I generally don't like to do this, but around some of the more popular Scottish destinations, we had to change our planned route just to find somewhere to stay. It can also lead to long drives under fatigue, which can be a safety issue. Tip number 9 is to always drive to the conditions. Scotland is famous for its foggy, cloudy, and unpredictable weather. Things can change very quickly, and you may find yourself in challenging conditions. It's always best to slow down and drive more conservatively, or just stop over somewhere and wait for conditions to improve. It's probably worth keeping an umbrella in the car at all times, just in case. Tip number 10 is to look out for the local wildlife. It's not uncommon outside of the cities to find sheep, cows, or other livestock scattered across the roads. It's important to slow down in some country areas so that you're able to stop safely when face to face with a scattered herd blocking the roadway. I know that getting a photo of a Highland cow is high on the to-do list for many visitors to the country, but stopping on the road is not the best time to do it. If you would like to know where I was able to get this video, check out our day trip to the Isle of Skye, which is also on the channel. And tip number 11 is that driving is fairly easy in Scotland. While the roads around Scotland are old, narrow, and don't have a lot of places to stop, it's still very easy for a tourist to adjust to the local driving conditions. The roads are very orderly, and for the most part, drivers fairly courteous, outside the cities at least. The navigation apps are also very accurate and have the country well covered with both directions and the travel time required to get to your destination. We only hit serious traffic once on our trip, which was due to a serious accident on the freeway. But aside from this, it was a very seamless experience. There are so many incredible places to explore, and I think that travelling by road is by far the best way to do it. If you want to learn more about our Scotland adventure, then click the video on screen now.